The views and content expressed on the following program are provided solely for informational and entertainment purposes. They do not constitute legal advice. A podcast is not a substitute for retaining a competent, licensed attorney to advise you on your specific legal situation.
Break the business, play is work and work is play. Power into creators, have fun along the way. Break the business, doing what it takes. Celebrate success and learn from the mistakes.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is time for Break the Business, where we empower indie creators and have some fun along the way. I'm Ryan Kairalla, and it is a pleasure to have you here this week. I am in an excellent mood. I am so happy. And not just because I got the answer right on the third line in Wordle, I am a god among men, but just excited for the co-host that we are bringing to the proceedings this week, joined by Elisa Rockdock. Hello, Elisa.
Hi. Hello. It's really good to be back on the show.
It is so good to see you. Look, here's the thing, champ, all right? I have just a giant pile of Elisa topics this week that we have just been squirreling away since 2021. And then this week, just a whole bunch more Elisa topics just tumbled into our lives. And so I'm at a loss here, okay? Because there are so many things that you are so equipped to talk with us about, okay? Like music industry and pop culture matters, big and small. Like, do I want to lean on your expertise as an indie creator and talk about this new post from Zach O'Malley Greenberg of Forbes talking about the 10 biggest earning artists? Do I want to bring your PhD in gender and rock music to bear and have you opine on this Taylor Swift, Damon Albarn feud? Do I want to bring in your expertise in gaming as a former gaming industry executive and have you talk about the Microsoft Activision merger?
I don't know about executive.
Real impressive. All right. Or, like, is this just, like, do I want to bring, like, my favorite Weird Al fan to talk about Weird Al's new movie that's coming out? Or, like, you're also my go-to on all things football. And so I kind of just want to, like, talk about the insane weekend of football we had.
Oh, my gosh. There's too much. Is this show only an hour?
Yes, because of radio, like the constraints of satellite radio.
Who do we talk to about this?
Oh my God. Like just like a weight on my shoulders. And most weeks an hour is fine. We get to everything we want to get to. We feel like everything got properly discussed. But this week, I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean,
No. I'm a grad student 3 times over. I am verbose. So y'all need time, and I have the time today.
Well,
so I'm very excited.
I share your excitement. And I know that the viewers and listeners who are going to be part of this conversation are going to want more from you when all this is over. They're going to want to hear more of your thoughts and opinions on all these different subject areas where you're an expert. Before we get started, can you tell the folks about your Patreon that's going on right now?
Oh, sure thing. Yes. So hello, everybody. In case you don't know me, I am Elisa Rockdock, also known as Elisa Melendez. Dr. Elisa Melendez, if you're nasty. And it is my honor to live my life basically as kind of a bard. I'm a musician, I'm a voice actress, doing a combination of commercial and video game and audiobook voice acting. I'm a content creator on TikTok as well as Twitch. I'm in the process of recording a new EP, and I got my PhD studying the intersection of gender and rock music, specifically as they pertain to rock music video games like Rocksmith and Rock Band, and highlighting what happens when you translate the music industry world into a game that's supposed to simulate that, and what kind of gender baggage goes along with it. If any of that content interests you at all, all my thoughts and musings about music, EP progress, all of that jazz, you can go to patreon.com/Elisa Rockdock for a kind of one-stop shop to support all of the chaotic chill that's going on up in this particular piece. So yeah, hope to see you around Twitch, TikTok, Patreon, all that jazz. I am Elisa Rockdock on all things social media if I got there on time.
And I know what you're thinking, viewers and listeners. Like, surely Ryan can't possibly be bringing us any more cool content creators this week. Surely Elisa is more than enough, but no, because coming up later in the show, our guest this week, Tara Davina, musician, career coach, former record executive, works with creator clients, has a lot of great insight for us, and she's going to play a song for us. And so all that's coming up after the break. So yeah, it is a jam-packed show. Let us waste no more time. Let us filibuster no more. Let us invoke cloture on this and get right to it. I want to first talk about this music industry thing with that Zach O'Malley Greenberg of Forbes posted, former Break the Business guest. We love him around here because it brings up a discussion that I often hear with creators, which is, look, Ryan, you always tell us it's so important to hold on to our masters. It's so important to hold on to our publishing. But like, is it really? Is it really? Like, I mean, you know, it's copyrights. What are copyrights? There's these things that float out into the ether. It's like a little thing with a C around it. What does it mean? You know, and why are you as a lawyer always pounding the table to try to keep these rights for your clients any way that you can, beg, borrowing, and stealing to make it happen? And I'm going to show you why in one very strangely drawn chart. Lauren, can you pull up this tweet before we get to the chart? Because there you go. So this is from our friend Zach O'Malley Greenberg on Twitter. He writes, as part of my recent highest paid musicians 2021 list, the Zogblog graphics department cooked up this very advanced display to show how the top earners banked the bulk of the bucks from catalog mega deals. You can read about it, and then he puts his Substack in there, and it's a great Substack, and you should check it out. So I want to show you the lovely chart he put together. Can we blow that up? Oh, Lord is ready. Maybe even bigger. Is there a way we can just like get our heads out of there? Because I really just want to absorb the greatness that is this chart. Okay, so viewers and listeners, here's what you're looking at. All right, this is the list of the
labeled on this chart.
No, yeah, this would this definitely be like a C+ in pre-algebra at best. This is the list, a bar graph of the 10 highest paid musicians of 2021. So a lot of names on that list make perfect sense, right? I see the Taylor Swift on there. I see the Kanye West on there. You're like, oh yeah, makes sense. Would you have expected, Elisa, Motley Crue on there?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm also seeing like I'm also seeing some names here, like not Fleetwood Mac, but specifically
Lindsey Buckingham, yes.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Ryan Tedder. Number one on the list, sorry, Gen Z, you lost this one. Bruce Springsteen, number one.
The boss.
And now what you're seeing on this graph, so I'll narrate it for the radio folks out there, is there is a part that is shaded in, and then there's the part that's all white. For each bar graph where it's shaded in, that is income produced from those artists selling their catalogs in 2021. So the reason why Motley Crue, who's a band that I don't think has put out anything in at least 20, 30 years, is the number 8 highest paid musician of 2021, is they sold their catalog to an investment group for almost $100 million. And so that allowed them to overtake even Taylor Swift as one of the highest paid musicians of 2021. Bruce Springsteen, same thing. Sold his catalog for over $500 million and went right to the top of the list. And so when artists tell me, why do I need to hold on to my masters? Why do I need to hold on to my publishing? This is why. Because the biggest earners in the business right now are not the millennial and Gen Z musicians that are topping the charts today. It's the legacy artists.
Yeah. Nobody's making any money.
That's right. It's the legacy artists that held onto their stuff or found a way to get their stuff back. And now they are selling it for just unconscionable, sacrilegious amounts of money. So in one very strangely drawn chart by our friend Zach O'Malley Greenberg of Forbes, you see why it's important to hold on to your copyrights. All right. So
now what happens as a result of this? I'm Bruce Springsteen. I make a chunk of change selling my catalog. How does that work for me vis-a-vis like mechanical royalties and all that stuff going forward once they're no longer my masters because I sold them?
Well, generally, the way that these are structured is sometimes they're structured as just an assignment of copyright. Sometimes you sell the copyrights to a company, like some kind of shell corporation, that has a right to all the royalties, and then you sell that company to somebody. But right. So for Bruce Springsteen, he's not going to be seeing consistent royalties from this catalog anymore because now it's going to this investment vehicle. But he's gotten paid a massive lump sum that will, that it will just create generational wealth for him and all of and for many Springsteen generations to come. But the only way that catalog accrued that value is because he had to buy and hold, right? He had to create those songs, own them for decades so that they could accrue in value. If this publishing was something that he lost early and he wasn't able to keep his masters, somebody else, i.e. a label or a publishing company, would be controlling most of this catalog. This is why copyrights are valuable and you got to hold on to them as a creator. There you go.
There you go. And that everything else, that includes everything from like merch to, well, I guess not touring, but merch, touring, brand deals, probably for the most part.
Yep.
Things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Every different way that an artist can make music. I mean, they're starting to tour again. So touring, merchandising, licensing, whatever money can come in from Spotify. It's a tiny little part of the bar chart, but it's added there. But right, again, catalog sales is going to be where it's at for a lot of these legacy artists. All right, let me talk to you about another story, Elisa, that I got to get your insight on. On January 24th, Taylor Swift, who, I don't know if you know this, Elisa, we can't go a week on the show without celebrating her in some way. It's kind of our bag, and we love her dearly. And when somebody comes after our Taylor, we rise up. You see a bunch of closet Swifties here at Break the Business. Lauren, you can go and put up this tweet for us if you could. January 24th, Taylor Swift quote tweets a Los Angeles Times article in which musician Damon Albarn stated that Swift, quote, doesn't write her own songs. And so in Swift's tweet, she said to the Blur and Gorillaz frontman, "I was such a big fan of yours until I saw this. I write all of my own songs. Your hot take is completely false and so damaging. You don't have to like my songs, but it's really fucked up to try to discredit my writing." Following, I know, I'm already going to get the Sirius XM folks mad at us, but I want to capture Taylor Swift's anger here.
It is.
Yeah. So following some significant backlash from Swift's fans on Twitter, because of course, Albarn later apologized to her for his comments, which he said were, quote, reduced to clickbait by the publication. Now, I have 3,000 thoughts on this, but I want to defer to the person who literally has a PhD in these kind of dynamics. What did you think of this when you saw it?
Okay. So,
collect yourself.
Bueno, as she starts in Spanish and adjusts her hoops for the people that are listening on radio, so you know how serious I am. First off, do not take accountability for your words when it is not an editorialized piece, but just a straight up printed Q&A where there's a question printed followed by your answer, which is not paraphrased or like editorialized in any way. Those are your words, bruh. That ain't clickbait. You just said that. So
it's not out of context. That's literally the context.
That is literally the context. One, I mean, we already dropped an F-bomb, but I'll drop an own your shit. One. Yeah. Yeah. Two,
like Taylor Swift does, own your shit.
Well, yeah. Well, two, as someone who works as a communications professional and who has dabbled in PR, both the smartest and most idiotic thing in the world to come after Taylor Swift. One, because congratulations, we're talking about you. Two, you just invoked the raft of Swifties, which like up there with Barb's and the Beehive, like no, you are coming after a bunch of broken-hearted women with nothing to lose. So, you know, by activating the Swifties, you done messed up. But the idea that, well, one, stop pitting women against each other, which kind of also goes to the interviewer. Well, I guess probably more Damon than anything, but the idea of like posting Billie Eilish up as this paragon versus Taylor Swift, who doesn't write, quote unquote, write her own songs, even though then he kind of trips over his words and is like, well, like Billie Eilish has like a thing with her brother, but like there's a bajillion people on like a Taylor Swift record or whatever. And I'm like, all right, cool. Great. I would love to pull the receipts of how many people were co-writing with you, A, in Blur, and B, with the Gorillaz.
Yeah, I checked. Most of his catalog has co-writers on it.
Right. So like so this idea of like not writing your own songs or having some sort of like is there a minimum percentage of lyrics and music and measures and chords and phrases that we need to write in order for that to be a proper contribution in your estimation? Is Lennon not a songwriter, nor McCartney, because they wrote together instead of separately? Like, I'm trying to think of where the logic actually gets to that doesn't come from a place of solo female musician singing songs that are purported to be autobiographical. For some reason, that is not trusted with the same creative weight that 4 dudes in a garage hold.
So
For some reason, it's not trusted.
There's a gender dynamic here, you're thinking.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I've noticed it, because like this is a well-worn trope, right? When the artist who writes, the female young artist who writes breakup songs, that kind of songwriting is not ascribed the same sort of artistic weight in the eyes of some creators. But when this accusation gets lobbed, it's always at a Taylor Swift. It's always at a Selena Gomez. It's always at a Demi Lovato. It's never at a Justin Bieber. It's never at a Zayn Malik or a Harry Styles.
Justin Timberlake.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and so like, but like they're kind of the same sort of pop star. The only difference is like some are men and some are women.
Exactly. And also like, I don't see, unless he's trying to do his like flannel country boy in the woods era, to make up for his blackfishing era. You don't see Justin Timberlake up there with an acoustic guitar singing like very, very thinly veiled autobiographical sons.
Yeah.
Like
Justin Timberlake's not locking himself in a cabin with the National and, creating the album of the year.
Yeah, despite what the music video for that song might suggest, Justin Timberlake did not write Cry Me a River about Britney. You know what I mean? Not me.
Gotcha.
So like it is the idea that is present in a lot of music, and you can read my my PhD dissertation on this very topic on elisamelendez.com. Also, you could throw me some coin at the Patreon for this info, but it is part of a common thread, and you see this across a lot of industries that are typically male-dominated industries, where women often have to prove themselves twice as hard and work just as hard, and they have to write, produce everything 100% themselves with no help. They have to be playing the guitar. If you're Orianthi and you're producing a pop song that features you playing guitar, that music video better have a close-up of your hands on the fretboard to prove that it is actually you playing that, because people still don't believe that women can be as creatively competent at songwriting and instrumentation.
Oh my God. We need to stop everything, because that Orianthi reference is such a deep cut. And for like the 2 people that are viewing or listening to this who know what you're talking about, you are so dead on. All right. Homework assignment for everybody listening or watching this podcast. Watch the According to You music video by Orianthi. She's an incredibly gifted guitarist. And in the music video, some record executive had the idea that we need the world to know that this is a girl who can play guitar. And so in the video, am I describing this right? They put the damn fretboard right in front of the video, like right at the front of the camera, and you can't even see the video, and they just want you to see her fingers on the fretboard. And by the way, like bird's eye view of fretboard, not the most flattering angle for a guitarist.
It's not great. It's but it just sucks, right? Because it's like, what is the difference? It's not only, woman with guitar not taken as seriously, but it's also, I think, oftentimes like the subject matter of the songs. It's somehow like singing about heartbreak doesn't carry the same weight when it's, you know, from Taylor versus like, oh, but but yet, you know, I want to hold your hand, classic. But like it's this weird double standard that we are often still held to. And as much as you want to think that like, oh, but you know, but I uplifted Billie Eilish, I'm not, you know, attacking women, but at the same time, it's like you bring up this like kind of cool brother sister garage dynamic, but somehow if it's a little too polished or a little too perfect, if you work a little too hard or you're a little too proud of yourself, then you need to get knocked down a peg. And oftentimes that kind of pride in your work, you know, Kanye can be a genius and be arrogant about all of his stuff, but someone takes a little bit of pride, re-records their stuff so that they can have ownership of their stuff, and all of a sudden it's like whack. You know, we got to knock down the proud woman a peg oftentimes, and I feel like this is another example of that.
Absolutely. And to me, the broader lesson, you're spitting, by the way, is just great. No. Just great stuff. But to me, the broader lesson that indie creators can pull from this story, because, you know, we try to bring it back to, you know, like, what does Taylor Swift have to do with, you know, everyday creators who are checking out this? But what I think this gets back to, and we talked about this a little bit when this was like a few weeks ago on the podcast, we did about 20 minutes on this poor girl who harmonized with the song As the World Caves In on TikTok, and everybody just dumped on her. And the lesson from that was, guys, it's really hard to be a creator, whether you're Taylor Swift or whether you're Elisa Rockdock or you're anybody. It is tough out there. Don't make it harder for your fellow creators by being a jerk to them. Like, let's all be on the same team, because it's so hard out there.
If you want to get your jokes off, you can get your jokes off in the group chat with your friends that surely you have, don't you? Don't drop it in the comments section of people.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, get your jokes off in the group chat and leave creators alone to live their damn lives and produce stuff.
Yeah.
Unless they're being extremely problematic and need to be called out or called in or etc. But still, like, it is a valid harmony that person did. It works in music theory, and I don't know, it works. I don't know. I could go on about that harmony thing too.
Well, but again, even if it didn't work, right? Even if, like, you know, if you are of the, because, you know, music and art is up to interpretation, and even if it just objectively didn't work, if the consensus was of everybody in music that wasn't good, keeping your mouth shut is an option.
Yeah,
like, you can say nothing.
For my D&D nerds, I wish I could give, I feel bad because I want to give the proper credit for this, but like shutting the F up is a free action.
Yeah.
For all my D&D nerds,
you don't have to roll for that.
Also, like, one of the things as a creator, if you are on the receiving end, one of the things that I've sort of seen some folks take, I am the squishiest person, as I'm sure we will discuss with our guest eventually. I am a Capricorn sun, Capricorn rising, but I am a Cancer moon, and I am very, very squishy. So one of the things that I'm trying to adopt when I see like bad comments or something is like, well, put your social media person hat on and realize that's engagement, baby. They just viewed and engaged with your content, baby. They're just driving your numbers up, baby. That's all they're doing. So
it's gonna make the algo real good to you.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you are only by commenting on stuff you hate and telling people you hate it, you are only boosting it more. So there you go. So if you were on the receiving end of that, you know, grats on your clicks. Unfortunately, don't use that as a way to receive clicks. Don't intentionally do that, because that's just not fun for the internet. But like, you know, you see a hater, thanks for the engagement, bud. Appreciate the view.
All right, turning us now to your gaming background. I'm so glad we were going to get this story in. All right, we're going to break in just a second. We're going to bring in Tara Davina. I'm excited to talk to her. But love to get your thoughts, you know, gaming industry executive, Elisa Rockdock. Want to get your thoughts on the Microsoft Activision merger, a $68 billion acquisition.
Say the number. Round it up.
60 69 a nice $69 billion merger where the Microsoft is going to acquire the developer that has brought us Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, Call of Duty, Candy Crush, brings us Major League Gaming. This is a huge acquisition. It is 9 times as big as Microsoft's Bethesda buyout. What was that, last year, a few years ago?
Yeah, like a couple tops.
Yeah, not even that long ago. And so, I mean, Microsoft is trying to make a play for something here, Elisa. Like maybe it's just about vertically integrating into, creating content. Maybe there is a metaverse play to be had here. What's going on?
I have thoughts on the metaverse, but we're going to put that in a drawer. We're going to set that aside. What I will say is there are a lot of different perspectives on this. One of them is, wow, is all this consolidation good? Two, based on the history of Activision Blizzard, one would hope that this is a significant positive change for the employees that work at Activision Blizzard King and all owned subsidiaries. Therefore, I hope that it becomes a positive change for them in terms of diversity, inclusion, just better labor practices for the making of games in general. Microsoft has good sort of outward PR for that sort of thing. So it seems like on paper, it seems like it could be potentially a very positive change with Phil Spencer at the head of gaming and a pretty decent looking Xbox gaming board. Hoping that Bobby gets run out the paint. Unfortunately, if and when he does, he's still going to get a paycheck and will probably have learned nothing from the experience. And will continue to fail upward as so many in his position have and continue to do in the game industry and industries beyond. However, as a consumer of Game Pass, this sounds great.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
It continues to make Xbox Game Pass one of the best, if not the best, deals in gaming. As a personal user of Game Pass, the idea that I can get so many, not only indies, but a lot of classics and a lot of new things kind of day and date on the console, that for a relatively decent price, huge library of stuff that obviously because of this acquisition will only keep growing. There are games that I feel like my threshold for starting a game is considerably lowered because of Game Pass, so I'm consuming a lot more gaming content.
Yeah.
And then because and I think some of the curation is actually pretty decent. There've been a decent amount of releases, and they kind of come with it like every month with some new awesome drops. As somebody who was a long-term subscriber of World of Warcraft and stopped because it just felt gross as hell to continue to be playing Activision Blizzard King properties, while they're not being good to their workers.
Yeah.
That felt gross. I'm hoping that this merger signals a significant sea change in how those workers are treated, and I hope that will only make sure that better and more awesome entertainment is produced as a result. I am cautiously optimistic, but also as a woman in the gaming industry, highly skeptical.
See, this is why I like talking to you about these kind of stories, because I didn't even think of that dimension of this, right? Like, in these ideas of, I mean, first of all, like the way women are treated in game developing, not spectacular, but also just like the crunch conditions. We always hear about this term crunch and how employees in this industry are overworked. And what you just brought to me is the prospect that perhaps a Microsoft oversight or overwatch over the over Activision Blizzard could create labor practices for game developers under that roof that are better and maybe could have ripple effects throughout the industry. That's a dimension of this that if it's true, it'd be great.
still unionize though. What I hope this doesn't do is I hope this doesn't dampen a lot of the good work that the strike force for Activision Blizzard King, a better ABK. I hope it doesn't dampen the efforts for them to fight for practices and think that like, oh, well, we just got bought, so everything's cool and everything can stop now. Like, no, that doesn't mean that fighting for better labor practices stops here, or like, oh, well, let's see how this works out before we no, like the fight continues. And it's I hope that as a result of maybe my being on the show, but also just generally, like, I hope in general for a gaming industry that is a little bit more transparent about its practices and how these things get made. And that's also like one of the things that I'm very interested in is education on how games get made, so that folks can understand what it actually takes to put these things together and like the human cost of your entertainment. And like, just think about that for like 2 seconds. That's all I ask of folks listening. Just think about what it costs to make your entertainment, not just the physical cost, but the human cost of making these things you love.
We'd love very much for this to be one of the fora that you can spread that message out on, Elisa. Grateful for your insight as always. We're going to take the quickest of breaks, and then we're going to have Tara Davina join us. Don't go anywhere. Keep hanging out with us here on Break the Business. Ryan Kairalla here. I hope you're enjoying the show, and I hope that you're getting a lot out of it. I do what I do because I care about creators like you. A lot. I've dedicated my career to helping creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and organizations move forward. I do it by hosting this program, and I'm also proud to do it in my legal practice. If you're a creative professional looking for solutions-oriented legal services to help you further your goals, I'd love to help. My firm RKPA does contracts, commercial law, copyright, trademark, and more. Visit rkpalaw.com to learn more. That's rkpalaw.com. Ryan A. Kairalla, PA, Miami, Florida.
Streaming services for Break the Business provided by LEK Entertainment. LEK Entertainment is a full-service entertainment company offering everything from consultations to full-scale events and productions, including audio and video productions, voiceovers, staged theatrical productions, script and music development, and streaming services. For more information, visit lekentertainment.com. LEK Entertainment wants to help you bring your story to life.
Thanks for supporting Break the Business. If you have a question or topic that you want us to discuss, email us at breakthebusiness@gmail.com. You can follow the host, that's me, on Twitter at Ryan Kair, and you can follow the show at the BTB Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the show on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, and on all major podcast platforms. And now, let's get back to the show. Welcome back, all you beautiful people, to Break the Business here on Facebook Live, Twitter Live, YouTube Live, SiriusXM 145, and on all those crazy podcast platforms. Wherever you're checking us out, we are happy to have you. Ryan Kairalla here with Elisa Rockdock. Joining us as our guest this week is a musician, career coach, and former record executive who helps her creator clients with making a living from their creativity and finding creative inspiration. You can find out more about our guest's work by visiting www.taradavina.com. We are thrilled to welcome Tara Davina on to Break the Business. Hello, Tara.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
So happy to have you. I'm such a fan of what you bring to the table, right? In the first segment, I was talking about how Elisa brings all these hats, and it led to a great conversation. And you got a similar vibe going. You know, you're a coach, you're a musician, and you have a background as a record executive. And if you've had a chance to sniff around what we do here at Break the Business even a little bit, you'll know that I have kind of it's called a skeptical relationship towards the label model. So I love the idea that I'm getting to talk with an insider about this. All right, you were an executive at Warner Music Group. You oversaw digital sales and marketing for the independent music arm. And I want to talk to you about this. I've always found myself increasingly frustrated with the way that major labels market musicians that they sign from the independent world. I see it time and time again where they find some indie musician that's lighting up YouTube and is getting some buzz, maybe on SoundCloud. They sign that musician, and then you never hear from them again. Maybe 18 months later, they put out a single that doesn't sound anything like what they were doing on SoundCloud. And you're like, oh, I kind of remember that artist. And then like they're gone. And then you never hear from them again. And somebody owns their masters. And it breaks my heart. I mean, and is this something you saw in your operation? Did it perhaps drive the reason why you do what you do now?
Absolutely. And I mean, there were some indie labels which they really knew how to market. They really understood organic marketing. And I got to witness some of them. Like just an example was one of the labels I worked at distributed drive-through records. Probably remember them. And a lot of the artists that were on there really did very well. You know, like they kept the organic development of those artists and fostered that and didn't get in the way. And I think what I saw that didn't work was exactly what you spoke about just now, which is that the labels would take a perfectly great developing artist with a fan base and kind of make everything feel artificial and strange and disjointed and interrupt the process instead of enhancing it.
Yeah. Well, I will say that I feel like labels are getting a little more clever at promoting the indie artist than, especially in the most recent years. Elisa, surely you have heard about this artist Gail, who does the song A B C D E F U. You know, it's a super big. I think it's like #1 on the charts or something close to that. And that's an artist that got their start on TikTok, but now there's a lot of scuttlebutt around the industry that her meteoric rise, which looked completely TikTok organic, was actually a little like contrived by a label, because she puts out a video on TikTok one day where she says, "I need inspiration for songs. TikTok followers, give me one." And then a follower comments, "You should write a breakup song about the alphabet." And she's like, "Oh yeah." And then she supposedly comes up with A B C D E F U. It becomes this massive hit. But then people started digging. They looked at the person who wrote the comment. They did some like, that kind of really crazy Google foo that Gen Zers do. They found out that the account belonged to a promoter at Atlantic Records. And the plan from the beginning was to, fake organic grow this song. And so like the labels would have never thought about that 10, 20 years ago. They are getting more clever.
To that credit, although, they could have funneled that money through a couple of more steps to like another influencer instead of somebody so easily tracked. But
maybe not use the first and last name of the Atlantic Records executive as your TikTok profile. Just saying. Like the Gen Zers would have found it anyway, but don't make it easy for them. So, but I am curious now. I mean, because you're not with the labels anymore. You're a coach now. You work with indie creators, which we love. Thank you for that. What sort of drove you to this new stage in your life?
Honestly, I just walked into my amazing job in my amazing office one day, and I thought to myself, I'd actually just rather be dead than keep doing this corporate life. I know it sounds kind of heavy, but it was the truth. I just reached this point where I realized everything I was doing was completely meaningless to me, meaningless to the artists, meaningless to the labels. And I really wanted meaning. And so I set off on a quest to find that for myself. And I took some detours, like I didn't get straight into creative business coaching or even music. Weirdly enough, I became a Vedic astrologer, which is a form of ancient Indian astrology, predicting people's futures. It was the wildest detour on my path, but it was amazing. And it led me to rediscover what purpose is and what it feels like to be genuinely fulfilled in the work that we do. And I was eventually able to circle back around to my original passions for music and for art, and to develop those. And then now I get to support entrepreneurs in pursuing their artistic dreams and actually finding ways to monetize that within their own business ecosystem.
And I do want to talk to you all about that, because that is absolutely the focus of this show. However, I feel like I would be just burying the lead under like 1,000 feet of dirt if I didn't go back to this whole Vedic astrologer thing. because that sounds really fascinating and interesting. And I want to do a few minutes to learn more about that. I sort of missed it. Like, I'm sure Elisa knows this stuff because she's kind of the resident astrologer of our duo. But what is a Vedic astrologer?
Great question. So this ancient Indian form of astrology was passed down from teacher to student as an oral tradition for 5,000 years. And it kind of looks like the astrology that most of us have heard of, which is called Western astrology, but it's different. It's a much more kind of wild and woolly system. It's a lot more mathematical and detailed, and only a completely crazy person would sign up to learn it and study it for 12 years, as I have. And it's really detailed and gets right in there into very specific predictions about the future.
So this isn't like Cancer, Sagittarius, Aquarius astrology. There's something else going on here.
Right, like the signs might sound the same, but it's a completely different interpretation and a different utilization of those signs.
All right. That is, hey, I am all for whatever brings you on your journey to helping indie creators. I am glad you are here, Tara Davina. One of the things that I know you devote a lot of your time to in your coaching practice is helping your creator clients with core message marketing, creating a solid message that will help them kind of cut through a very saturated creator marketplace. Do you have any sort of general advice on what creators can do to find that core message? Like, think of somebody like Elisa, who is so good at so many things. And I don't think there's a lot of folks like her out there in the music biz as a creator. She's got the PhD. She's a, great podcaster, great live streamer, great musician, gaming industry executive. How do you take somebody like her that's got so many cool things going on and find a core message there?
Oh, such a good question. And first of all, I totally understand your plight because I too have 5 businesses that I run. And it would be crazy making if there wasn't a golden thread running through them all that links them together, right? Otherwise, my brain would be constantly having to completely do a 180 to switch to work on each business. But as you probably know, even if you can't name your core message, you have one that is very visible to other people at the very least. It's that common message, that thing that you stand for above everything else. And so if you were my client, I would probably take you through a slightly dark and very fast thought experiment to start. I'm curious if you're open to that.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
You had us at dark.
Yes.
Okay. It's a little,
fun.
it's morbid, but it's good. It works.
You had us at morbid. Let's get real weird.
Okay, let's get started. So I have some very bad news for you, which is that this is actually not just a podcast, but this is your last 5 minutes on planet Earth. This is it for you.
Holy crap.
But
I'm glad I did my makeup. Okay.
you look great for your death day.
I'm glad I have earrings in. That's like the most important part.
And amazing hair.
Thank
you. So the silver lining is that, as you know, we're recording here. And Ryan and I have arranged for all the inhabitants of planet Earth to receive the message you are about to give. I'm going to give you a prompt. And it's going to be translated into all the languages. Every single human being is going to hear this. So the rule is you only have 5 seconds to answer the question and no time to think about it. Are you ready?
Oh.
I'm so excited.
So my message to the world. Okay.
I'm going to prompt you with a question.
You're getting prompted.
Oh, okay.
Ready? So the question is, what is your final instruction to all the inhabitants of planet Earth on how to live life? Go.
Sing, dance, make merry, and think a little bit more about the people that make your favorite things. And try making one yourself.
Boom! That is so beautiful.
That was off the top of the dome, Rock Doc?
That's because she knows. She knows her core method.
Fair, in the last couple of years, I've I've had a lot of time to think about why I'm here. and what makes me happy. So yeah, that's definitely been top of mind. So but I appreciate that though, and I'm glad I was able to pull that out, and it's not so long and thanks for all the fish, or something like that.
That's what I would have came up with. So I'm glad she went to you with that.
Yeah.
So in addition to the core message, yeah, no, I feel tingly. It was great. In addition to the core message marketing of what you do in your coaching, I know you help a lot with artists who are just creatively struggling. They got that classic creator's block, writer's block, something like that. I would imagine that, many of the people viewing or listening are either now or at some point in the past, or surely some point in the future, will have those creative blocks. Is there any sort of advice you impart to creators to help them work through that?
Yeah. So my favorite piece of guidance is to say, start where you are, because a lot of times we're feeling blocked. We're saying, okay, I feel blah, I feel stuck, there's not much going on, or I feel crappy and I wish I was feeling great. And so we're waiting to get to that next state so we can be creative instead of mining the gold that's right in front of us. And in any given moment, we're having a relatable human experience that has gems of gold in it, right? And if we can be truthful, like bottom of the barrel honest about what we're experiencing right now, it will inspire people, no question. And if we can connect that to our core message, even better.
Wow.
Whew.
I know. I dig that. That's incredible. And I think I've heard versions of that before where in a lot of ways creator's block comes from when you are not finding truth, where you're not finding that kind of honesty. And so that does mesh with stuff I've heard before, which is really, really awesome. Yeah. See, at least I knew you'd get along with Tara. So yeah, she's an astrologer and, gives great coaching advice to creators like you. Also, I believe has a Siberian cat. I know you're something of a cat aficionado. Oh, tell me we can get the cat on the show.
Do you want me to grab him?
Yes.
He's right here. Okay, hold on.
Absolutely.
First podcast. All right, buddy.
I'm going to let her tell you what the cat's name is.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, Oh no.
I know, but
totally
I want her to
thrilled.
say it.
Oh, how exciting.
Oh, look at that.
Beautiful.
Can you tell Elisa your cat's name, please?
This is Perseus Romeo Puff Kitty the first.
Oh, RIP headphone users, that was a squeal of delight. That is
Oh.
so cute.
Yeah.
Fluffy.
Future note to all Break the Business guests, your domesticated or frankly non-domesticated pets are always welcome on this program. God, where does the fluff end and the cat begin on that cat? Oh, all right. All right, I'm in a good mood, and I think we're about to get into a better one here. Here's what I'd like to do, Tara. I would love it if you would be so kind as to play some music for us. We would adore that. But before you bring that out, we'll close on that. But before we have you play, I'd love to ask you the final question we ask all the guests here on the program. Do you have any last tips for the indie creators out there to help them move their careers forward?
My biggest tip is to get really creative with what you monetize. Like literally anything you love to do, you can make really good money from, and it's not nearly as hard as you think. That's my favorite thing to coach people on, because it's so much fun to watch people light up when they realize that they can make money doing anything that they love to do. Even if it's not like, if you're a musician, if it's not just selling albums, right? There's other things you love to do in your life, and you can make money doing them and have a lot of fun.
It's one of the coolest things I enjoy about this new creative revolution we're in right now is not just that there's more monetary opportunities for independent creators, but that the ways in which independent creators can make money, even just musicians can make money. There's so many more revenue streams that existed now than did 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. It used to be just sell albums, go on tour. Now it's live streaming, it's crowdfunding, it's merchandising, it's a billion other things. And so whatever way you think, that you could whatever way of making money applies to your skill set, you can definitely make it happen. Great insight from our guest, Tara Divina. You can find out more about her work by visiting TARADIVINA.com. Would you be so kind, Tara, as to close us out with a little bit of music?
Oh, I would be so honored to do so.
Yeah.
And I will share a clip of my very long new song. It's called Made for These Times, and it can be found everywhere music is found. And here's just a little taste of it. We are ready for what's here. We can rise above. We are ready to create a world that's filled with love. This is our chance to be the angels. This is our chance to write the book of the life we know is possible. When we close our eyes and look, when we close our eyes and look, when we close our eyes and look. We were made for these times. Oh, we were made for these times. We were made for these times. Oh, we were made for these times. We were made for these times. Oh, we were made for these times. We were made for these times. We've been getting ready all of our lives. We've been getting ready all of our lives. We are so powerful. We are so powerful. We hold the power to make our visions real. We are so powerful. We are so powerful. We hold the power to make our visions real. In the darkness of the night, we forget that the sunrise always comes and never fails. The light returns and we are home. Reality is so much richer than we know.
Tara Divina, everybody on Break the Business. Oh my gosh, that was
Beautiful.
magical. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Again, you can find out more about our guest's work by visiting www.taradivina.com. Thank you so much for being on the show with us this week. Please don't be a stranger. We love your insight. We'd love to have you on again real soon.
I'd love that. Thanks so much.
Elisa, I can't believe you answered that question that well off the top of your damn head. What was that? That was special.
That was One improv workshop I took in high school. And oh, hey, there's Ruby.
Yeah, speaking of
Look at
cats, your cat
Look at
just
that.
jumped into the shot.
Perfect
That's cool.
timing. She has the best comedic timing in the world. For those listening at home, I don't know, follow at Elisa Rock Doc for more shots of Ruby, my new cat, who just popped up on her perch with 1 second left in the show. No, it's but to that point, I've had a lot of time over the last few years to really think about what my mission is on this earth actually. But sometimes you just have to like look, no matter what it is that you do, find that thread that will jazz you. That's so important. And just like
that
whatever it is
golden
that I
thread,
do,
as Tara called it.
whether it's like, you know, like what do I do? I host educational videos, I do audio book VO, I stream, I write music, and really the main goal of that is to entertain, kind of be an IRL bard in a sense, like entertain and inspire and also educate a little bit, because once a teacher, always a teacher. I can't get rid of that. I have way too many letters and way too much student debt to not use it.
And again, folks, could not recommend enough that you check out Elisa's Patreon. It's already really great, and you can tell that she's building to something real special and is going to bring all these different things together in one golden thread. And you want to be there for it. And what was that?
Don't oversell it.
I assure you, I'm not. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, you know, millennial, I gotta like push myself down thing. Like, you're great. You're doing a lot of great stuff, and there's a whole bunch of people that I see on Twitter all the time that wholeheartedly agree. I'm excited to have you here. I'm gonna be excited to have you hanging out with us on the Break the Business program from time to time. We got about 4 minutes left for our satellite radio overlords. Ooh. And I want to use this time to talk about perhaps one of the greatest figures in not just the music industry, but
absolutely
all of human history.
Yes.
Yeah, just a person great enough that yours truly wrote his law school note about him, which this greatest person in history autographed, which I thought was very cool. We're talking, of course, about Weird Al Yankovic. Because it is now being reported that Roku is going to make a biopic about the parody musician Weird Al Yankovic, starring in the titular role one Daniel Radcliffe. And by the way, Weird Al had the funniest line in the press release about this, where he said, quote, "I am absolutely thrilled that Daniel Radcliffe will be portraying me in the film. I have no doubt whatsoever that this is the role the future generations will remember him for."
That's fantastic.
His whole press release for this movie is just completely spectacular because it doesn't take itself seriously. You have to be excited for this movie. I know you love Weird Al.
I do. I cite Weird Al as like an actual, like, no joke, very important songwriting influence in my life. I remember growing up with Weird Al and parody, and like the idea of scansion and his command of scansion as a songwriter, and like matching the rhymes up, not just the end of the line, but all throughout a lyric, matching syllabic lines with the original tune, and just the clever arrangements and his command of harmony, even on some of the original tunes. I could go on for days. Have I auditioned and performed Albuquerque as a monologue? Perhaps.
I can attest to that as a firsthand witness.
So, yes,
you've gotten parts from Albuquerque as a monologue.
You literally saw me do that.
Yeah.
You were in the room when you were in the room where it happened when that happened. Oh my heavens. And you know what? I hate sauerkraut. That's all I'm really trying to say.
I hate sauerkraut. Yeah.
I'm excited because I feel like not just as an interesting figure in terms of like this career that has spanned decades, and his like consistent reinvention and ways of sort of spinning music to kind of stay relevant over the course of several decades, as well
Spanning
as
what, like 5-6 decades at this point?
Yeah.
Goes back to the 70s? I mean,
bananas. Yeah, like Another One Rides the Bus, I think was like maybe mid to late 70s.
My
on the
Bologna.
documentary show. Bananas. But also the ways in which throughout the course of his career he's actually pushed a lot of conversations forward about fair use and copyright and ownership of creative work and how much commentary you're allowed to do. So I think people might think of him as some sort of like weird, slapstick, but I hope that this biopic kind of touches on like how important some of his actions actually kind of were throughout the course of pop music history. So I'm excited.
Me too. All right. Very cool. Our thanks to Tara Davina for joining us. My thanks to you, Elisa. Our guest next week, Congressman Ted Deutsch. That's going to be pretty darn exciting. Probably going to have to wear a tie for that one. I'm not a fan of that. But most of all, thanks to all of you for checking out Break the Business. So happy to have had you here. We'll see you next week.
Break